Well, how is Battle Creek, Michigan doing? Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Oh boy. I've been getting texts. I've been getting messages. And people are telling me that you guys are fired up. I think they are. You know, go ahead, grab a seat, grab a seat. You know, tonight we're going to talk about why, we're going to talk about how, and we're going to talk just a little bit about what. And we're going to keep them in the right order, because you know why we're here tonight? We're here tonight for your dream, because that's what's on the line. I mean, if you leave this weekend and nothing changes, if you leave this weekend without a specific intent, as Ken said, pivot. The whole goal of coming into a major function is what's the next pivot? And you make sure you leave this weekend with that pivot, because your dream's on the line. I mean, I think there's so many people that think there's 1,000 ways they're going to get their dream. Certainly I did when I was 18. I remember getting introduced to this crazy profession. I think I was 20, I just had turned 22 years old. And I remember the guy sharing it, and I thought, wow, that's a cool concept, that idea of residual ongoing income. That's cool, but I'm going to be a multimillionaire as the youngest president in General Motors history. And that lasted about 4 years. And about 4 years later, as I was promoted to senior engineer, I was a pretty young senior engineer, and I wanted to be 8th level because Lori and I were pregnant. We're super excited. I go into my boss's office, no word of a lie. What?
You got really big there for a while.
Yeah. Sympathy. Wait. So,
you didn't get big.
So I go in there and I say, you know, we're starting our family, and I'm willing to do anything. If you tell me I got to work more hours, you tell me I need more patents, you just tell me what I need to do to get promoted to 8th level so I can get a company car so we can afford enough money to bring Lori home. He laughed at me. I mean, outright laughed at me. He's like, I mean, like he thought I was joking or something. And he said, Orrin, we've got 120 too many 8th levels already. He said, we're not even going to talk about 8th level for you until you're at least 30 years old. And I was about ready to turn 26 when he said it, so I'm thinking I got 4.5 years of being at a job, working hard every day with zero opportunity for advancement until other people either die, retire, or quit. That's not much of an opportunity plan. Now, I don't know where you work. It might be different. But at that moment, I clicked into the looking zone. I was looking for something that would actually pay me regardless of my age. It had no bearing. They didn't look at race, creed, color, age. All they looked at is results. And if you are a results-oriented person, if you are, yeah, man, when they need something done, they come to me, then you are grossly underpaid. Grossly. Because no corporate job, no job in any way, and I'm not bashing jobs, I'm just telling the truth. There's no job that can pay a performer, a results-oriented person, what they're worth. That's why this is Weekend of the Entrepreneurs. You unleash your dream and then find a vehicle that will produce the result for you to get your dream, because your dream, your goals, your legacy is worth pursuing. All right, we got the why. What about the how? Well, the how is very simple. Let me sum it up very simply. You will either learn how to build large numbers communities, or you will never live an ongoing residual income. Only through building others do you truly build a bridge, and I'll get into that later tonight. But that bridge-style income is when a bridge is built, then cars can go across that bridge again and again and again. In this case, that bridge is a bridge of relationships. Leaders that are out there achieving results, leaders that are out there striving and achieving their goals and dreams, and you are serving their leadership. That's the bridge. There is no way that someone can have the lifestyle you truly dream about without mastering this concept called depth. The third talk I ever gave and released into this system 25 years ago, when I was just learning, 20 years ago, was a talk called Depth is Not an Option. 20 years later, I'm here to report, it's still not an option. And I've studied this profession. This is what I do. And every single, when I see stadiums filled at 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, or my personal mentor for a while literally filled 1 million people into stadiums around the world. And I would sit down with him, and I've stayed up all night with him. I'm down at his property. It's kind of cool when you say that you were personally mentored by the #1 guy in an entire profession. That's kind of a cool thing to do. And you know what he said? It's the dream and its depth. You know what I just told you tonight? It's your dream, and it's mastering the concept of depth. Only with a dream big enough will you actually stay with it long enough. I loved when Ken said, it took Orrin 5.5 years. He must be slow at pivot. Actually, let me correct that. No, it's a 2-part correction. That just shows how bad I was. I was so far back of the pack that what seems like, man, he must have been slow at pivot. No, I was pivoting every day. I was just so bad at relationships. When every single discussion you have is an argument. They said show 15 plans. I showed 15 arguments. Sounded good, you know. And you're pretty bad when your conclusion is, so you can clearly see how you're stupid not to be in business with me. That was my close. I'm like, I can't figure out why nobody is getting in. So, pivot. Don't call people stupid. Okay, all right. Ready to explode. And over and over. You can go back and look at the 1985 Lakeville yearbook, and what it has underneath my name is arguing, early and late. If a line were crooked, he'd argue it straight. So that was me getting in this profession. So yes, I had but once I figured out that yes, I have a dream, and that the bridge building is the only way for me to get that dream, it was over. It didn't matter if it took me 5 years, it didn't matter if it took me 10 years. Listen, once you figure out that you can't get your dream doing what you're doing right now, is there really any discussion? Like at that point, it should just be, well, then I will unless you don't really want your dream. And so the whole point of a weekend like this is to say, what is the dream that you really want? The one that you've got to be honest with yourself, because the only way you lose in this profession is when you start telling yourself lies. Remember that song? Tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. You know what? You know what this place is? You know what this major's about? Tell me the truth. Tell me the whole truth. And tell me I'm a winner enough to win. You are a winner. You showed up. You said, tell me what it's going to take, and here it is. Your dream, the team, learn to build depth, and then a free app and a free meeting. Let's roll. I'm telling you, mark my words. We are going to 1 million people. I can see it. When we were flying up to get to Massachusetts, Lori and I said, here is our objective this weekend. What we see in our head, we got to make sure the group sees, because I've never seen it clearer than what it is right now. It's like we used to teach The business plan that Lori and I got wealthy, we filled the Breslin Center, 12,000. We had to put the stadium, the stage in the center to fit everybody. And our business was a big dream, build big depth, and then change your buying habits. And when you change your buying habits, you get exclusively through us to pay 25% more. It's so awesome. But if you stick with me for a year, I'm going to build enough depth through you, I'll get you to the 25% where you'll be back break even. And people did that. Listen to this one now. Listen to our what. So I talked about the why, listen to our what. Cash back, crypto, and coupons. The average household saves $50 to $100 their first month. You take that savings, you convert it into the financial fitness program, you get on that subscription, you attend this community, and if you're ready to roll, then dive into the 3 keys to wealth and start building your bridge and live your dreams. Quit allowing the financial matrix to define your life. Do you think the financial matrix is interested in you? I'll tell you what they're interested in. Go to work, don't ask questions, don't dream, pay your taxes, and pay your debt. And then I come out here and say, you're better than that. And people take a shot at me. People say, oh, he's trying to tell those people that they're worth something. Just as somebody told me. Just as somebody said, Woodward, you're going to sell your whole life being a chicken? You're going to sell your whole life barge working, just carrying every day, having to do because you're too afraid to step out of the pack and go against the crowd because your boss laughed at you. Because so-and-so told you it wouldn't work. And everybody's like, nobody builds bridges around here. And yet just north of here, we got the Mackinaw Bridge. There's 12,000 plus cars a day average go across that bridge. At $4 some of toll, that's $50,000 a day that go across. 50,000 ongoing residual income. And it only took 3 years and 3,500 employees working 8 hours a day to build it. Can you imagine? How long you been doing this? Well, 3,500 people times 8 hours, pretty long time. And how many cars have actually gone across your bridge? 0. What a loser. Man, you guys are really bad at bridge building. You see the difference? Barge workers do a little bit of work and want to be paid immediately. An entrepreneur says, I'm taking the long term. I'm building for the long term. My why is in place. I'm going to learn how to master depth. And then what? I'm going to share this app and invite people into this amazing community. Lori and I had a lot to learn. Lori and I would argue. We had so many things messed up. But you know what we did right? The only thing we did right is we knew what we wanted, and we were honest enough with ourselves to say there was no other way that an engineer and an accountant that didn't get along, that had all these issues, that had no money, that had nobody that was rich that was willing to help us, and we came into a profession to where the people who had already walked through the minefield would look back and find somebody hungry. And they looked back and they found Orrin and Laurie, and they said, is there anybody else? Anybody? Bueller? And we're like, pick us! We're hungry! Anybody else? All right, if they're willing to do it, come with us. And they helped us walk through the minefield. And now that we walked through the minefield, you know what we're going to do? Why we flew in from Massachusetts to Battle Creek is because we're looking back. And we're saying, is there anybody over there? Is there anybody over there that has a dream? Where are you? Because we're going to find you, and we're going to help you get free. And I'll tell you, The power of the dream, the power of the thought that Lori and I could have a great relationship, the power of the thought that we could build a bridge, the power of thought that we could have as many kids as we wanted, not how many the financial matrix defined that we could have. The power of the thought that we could be free drove us to get better. And I'm telling you that Lori's about ready to share. She's amazing. You know why? Because she had the hunger to change. Love you, babe.
Love you too. Hi, guys. We're excited to be here in Michigan. I've heard you guys have had phenomenal speakers up here. Is that true? Thursday night, we were sitting in our Thursday night meeting, and they were phenomenal over there. And my phone was like, zip, 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 Mark and Christine Militello. I mean, all these texts coming in from all the different speakers and stuff. So it's exciting when, you know, you don't have to be everywhere. You can be in other places, but you have such awesome leaders, because there's a whole nother one of these going on in Utah with Chris and Terry Brady out there and Rob and Kenyon. And, you know, we don't have to be everywhere. We get to be where we want to be. And I love our business, because if you look at things like, oh, we got to do this or we got to do that, then you're looking at it all wrong. We get to do this. We love to do this. You know, it was fun to jump on that private jet, you know, to get over here. That was a lot of fun, and we flew over with Wayne and Raylene. And it's just options. It's just options, you know. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to travel that way. You don't have to worry about liquid size. You don't have to worry about taking your clothes off. You know, it's amazing. It's so much better to travel that way. So, but one thing I like to do is I like to thank the staff that's here and all the volunteers that have helped out. And if you guys could help me do that, that'd be great. Do you know we have the best staff anywhere? You know, they want us to go to 1 million people, and they're helping us get there. It's not just us out there. It's there right behind us, helping us every step of the way. So we're beyond blessed. We're so happy about that. But, you know, I know, how many of you guys did anybody talk about the cruise that we go on? Yeah. Well, that cruise has been amazing. I mean, just amazing. You know, we have a rough life sometimes. You know, we've got to work. We've got to work this business. It's tough. I mean, we had to go on that cruise ship. We had to go to the beach one day and hang out with some of the leaders. And I mean, it was like, oh, this is so tough. The sun, the sand was coming up on my toes. It was getting in between my toes. I mean, it was hot, but the nice breeze. It was rough. It was rough. Do you guys have those days at the office where the sand gets between your toes? So that cruise is amazing. We want you to come on that cruise. We had so much fun on there. The food obviously is amazing. You have to, you know, have 3 different sizes of clothes. Day 1, you're this size. Day 2, you're this size. Day 3, you know, it's like, just bring maternity clothes. But anyway, so I love that cruise. It's so much fun. But my favorite part of the cruise is at night. We all get together. We find some room, and we all get together, and you get to hear people share from their hearts, you know, why they're doing this or what business has done for them. And that is my favorite part. Listening to other people is just amazing. We have an amazing community. So you got to come join us on that cruise, and you can do it. You can be there with us. And then how many did anybody talk about Hawaii? How many have been to Hawaii? How many have been to Maui, Hawaii? And stayed at the Grand Wailea? Yeah, I know you two have. We know you two have. But anyway, we can't wait. We want you there with us, because you know what? It would not be the same without Larry and Marcy. So anyway, how many have they talked about the pineapple boats? So good, but I have bad news. The Grand Wailea does not serve the pineapple boats anymore. But I have good news. There are plantations, pineapple plantations. Hey, did you guys know that pineapples grow like on the ground? You guys knew that? Well, anyway, I knew that too. 11 years ago, I found out. But anyway, for some reason, I got coconuts and pineapples growing on the same tree. Um, this is why you need to travel, so you can actually see things and learn. In Michigan, we don't grow pineapples here, right? So anyway, what was I talking about? Pineapple boats. Okay, so you can go to the plantation and the pineapples are fresh. They're not shipped to the hotel. They are right there. They're fresh and they're so juicy. I know they probably talked about you cut them in half and you fill them with all kinds of ice cream in there. And the cool thing is the juice just starts dripping down and it's so good. You don't want to waste it on a napkin, so you lick each other's chins. Oh. It's amazing. You gotta have a pineapple boat. Guys, I recommend shaving that day real close because, you don't want to cut your wife's tongue or anything. So, anyway, and then, okay, how many, when you went to Hawaii, saw the whales, went whale watching? Anybody? Man, not enough. Okay, pretend you're in the boat and you're on the beautiful water. It's that just gorgeous blue color. Right? And it's just a gorgeous day. You see the mountains all around you, the green, and you can smell it. You just smell freedom. It's awesome. So you're on the boat, okay? And then you're looking, you're waiting, and you're waiting. Boop. That's called spy hopping, and whales do that. I have a video. Our boat is so close that, they said, we'd normally joke around like, don't touch the whales. Well, they were like, don't touch the whales. They were that close. So this guy pops his head up, he looks around, and they're like, that's called spy hopping. And I'm like, I'm going to take that one back. I bet they don't know what that is. Okay, so anyway, you might know what a pineapple is, but anyway. So the whales went back down and they're going underneath the boat and you can just, you're like, oh, please don't tip us over. Please don't tip us over. I know they wouldn't eat us, but the tiger sharks might eat me and can't have that. So anyway, that is the most incredible thing. And then we saw this mom and her calf and it's just beautiful. It's how, you just see God right there in all the creation. It's amazing. So you got to come to Hawaii with us. Starting with, you walk in and you get that beautiful lei necklace that smells so good, and you get the mango water or whatever they have when you walk in, and you just, relax. And you can just take it all in. So you got to come there with us. And then the spa, oh my goodness. I had the best massage there, but let me just tell you something. Some people get naked in the spas and some don't. So you make your decision and stick with it. You go one way or the other and just be proud. Whatever way you go. Man, so I went there and I went in my bathing suit. But anyway, so they have these 7 cool spas, and you have to rinse off between each one because one's like a mud, one's like a seaweed, and they do all these different things to your body. I'm like, I'm detoxing, but then I'm putting stuff back. I don't know what's going on, but I'm in every pool. And so you have to rinse off between every one. Well, anyway, I was there with some friends, and I'm like, let's just do it. So, anyway, the bathing suits came out, whatever. Anyway, so I said, okay, let's just be in agreement. Nobody looks, okay? Let's just be in agreement. So I'm like, everybody's doing this, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking. I'm sorry. We put our bathing suits back on. But anyway, so you got to come. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. So I don't know why I told you that story. Kind of embarrassed about it now. We'll delete that out of the audio. Okay, so Orrin and I were introduced by a friend of ours. His name is Rob, and we are going to, no, not Hawaii, I just talked about that. We're going to Ireland, and we're going to leave mid-May. We're going to be gone for, I think, 12 days, and I have the itinerary. This excites me even more than the trip. He sent an itinerary that has a map with red dots at the places we're going to stop at. Now, I am so excited about see, I'll have to tell you the story. So when Orrin and I, before we were married, we were going on our first little vacation up north, in Michigan, up north, a whole 3 hours. It probably wasn't even 3 hours. And I had our schedule. We leave at 8 o'clock, 8:05, we stop at the gas station down the road, we fill up, you go pee there. At, 9:15, we'll stop here, we'll get some cheese. And, Orrin looks at the agenda and he's like, He wads it up and throws it in the back. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, we're going to have fun. I'm like, that was fun. So when Rob sent this agenda, I'm like, see, I am right. I am right to do that. But anyway, Sunday, May 18th at approximately 12:30. No, I'm just kidding. It's just, we're going to arrive in Dublin. We're going to go to Dublin, and we're going to go, whatever. And then we're going to Cork, and then we're going to Dingle, the Cliffs of Moher, which Jeremy spent one of his birthdays there. Jeremy's our baby. And we've traveled around with our kids so much that they've spent their birthdays all over the world. Christine and Lance always had their birthdays in Hawaii. Poor kids. Okay, so anyway, Doolin, and then Galloway, and Galloway to Killybeag. That one I'm not sure about. That name just sounds weird. But anyway, and just all over the place. And I'm so excited to do this because this guy introduced Orrin and I. And if he would have done that, we would be here. It's just amazing to me that we are still friends with this guy, and just to be able to take 12 days and just because we want to. How many have ever been to Ireland? Man, isn't it amazing? You think green, right? Ireland. There are so many shades of green. I had no idea. But I'm like, I can't even imagine this many shades of green. So you just got to go to experience the green. Green is good. I love green. Green box, green going on. Okay, all right. So I don't know what your why is. Maybe you don't want to travel. Maybe you do. I don't know. But you have to figure that out. I know all weekend long you've heard about that. And one of the things I like to do, because we don't have jobs, and I like to volunteer on Wednesday mornings to teach 2-year-olds. It's a Bible study we do, and we teach the 2-year-olds the very story that their parents are learning. Okay, 2-year-olds. How many have 2-year-old? How many have been around a 2-year-old? Yeah, so 2 is a special age, isn't it? But it's great, right? And there are days we walk in there, me and my co-leader, and we have a great day. I mean, they sit still for the whole story. Nobody's had an accident in their pants. It's awesome. Like, we are victorious, and we walk out. We are the champions, my friend. And then there are other days. And those days, we lose. And we walk out going, I got friends in low places. And 2 weeks ago, I came home and said, Orrin, we lost. We didn't just lose. I feel violated. Like, there were 5 of them and 4 of us. And we lost. How is this possible? Because they're 2. And so people are like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Because I have to remember, you have to go back to your why. I love to teach them. I love to watch them grow from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. It's amazing. It's amazing. So sometimes you'll be in a house plan and maybe somebody has an accident in their pants. Who knows? But maybe you get a no-show. Who knows? Maybe it's the worst house plan ever. You have to go back to your why. Why are you doing this? That's why it's so important that you identify, why would you do this crazy business? Freedom. That's an awesome one. Freedom, right. Family. Amen. That's a good one. There are so many whys, but only you can determine what will push you through when the chicken hits the fan. Because guess what? That chicken is going to hit the fan, and it's going to hit it, and it's going to be messy. There's chicken parts going everywhere. But that why will get you back focused. It will put you right back on track. So you have to start with why. You have to know your why. But there's another component to this. There are things that happen in our lives that we don't know about. You know, Raylene talked about this on her latest audio. She's able to be there with her dad when he goes through chemo treatments. You know, that's a big why. But you know, when they signed up for this business, they didn't know that was going to happen. They had no idea. So we have to build this business for things unknown, that we don't know what's going to happen. And we have no idea the ripple effect that, happens. When the people showed us an opportunity to build a business, they didn't say, wow, I bet one day, Orrin and Laurie, they're going to get their marriage together. They had no idea. They were probably thinking, please don't sign up, please don't sign up, please don't sign up. They had no idea that all of you would be here. They had no idea the ripple effect that would happen. And we have no idea of what will happen. So it reminds me of a story I read about this fireman. His name was Jacob. And there was this apartment on fire, and it was in Chicago. And so this building was burning down, and Jacob and his partner ran to this burning building. It was his calling. That's what he did, right? That's what they do. And so they're halfway in, and they're like, this isn't good. We got to get out. We got to leave now. So they turn around, they run out. And this young mom comes up to, you got to go back in. My son is in there. My 7-year-old son is in there. I just ran to the store right there, and I was gone 5 minutes. What's happened? My son is in there. It's their calling. They go back into this burning building, and it's impossible. It's like an impossible situation. But Jacob just knows. He's like, I can feel it. He's in this room. So they get up to where he is, and the only spot that's not on fire in this room, this little boy is laying. It's like God had his hand right over him. Hurry up, guys. Come on, So they save this boy. They come running out of the building with the 7-year-old boy, and everybody's cheering, yeah, good job, guys, good job. They're just doing their job. They're just answering their call. He had no idea the ripple effect that he would have, or that would happen. So this boy and his mom stayed in touch with Jake. The boy's name was Chris. Stayed in touch with the fireman, Jacob. And they would bring him, every week they'd come in with a candy bar, just something to say thank you. They didn't have a lot of money. They would just say thank you. And over the years, Jacob and Chris kind of developed a relationship. Chris would go to the movies, or Jacob would take Chris to the movies, and, they would just do things because Chris didn't really have a fatherly. So they kind of hung out, and over the years, they built this really good relationship. Well, eventually Jacob got married. He's got 3 kids of his own, or 2 kids, and his wife's pregnant for their 3rd. Chris is in college, and Jake gets diagnosed with diabetes. Just 6 years later, he gets diagnosed, his kidneys are completely failing, and he's going to die unless he can get a kidney transplant. His wife's not a match. No, none of his family members are a match. Basically, it's over. Until he gets a call from Chris. He says, a perfect match. I want to give you my kidney. And he gives him the kidney. He gives him his kidney, and he lives, obviously, and they still, to this day, go to Cub games together. They saved each other's lives, but I'll tell you, Jacob, the day he ran in that burning, didn't say, oh, one day my kidneys are going to fail, and I need to save this kid because he's going to save me. He had no idea the ripple effect. We have no idea the ripple effect. He was just living his purpose. He was just doing what he was called to do. He was courageous. He went into a burning building that they knew they shouldn't go into. We don't have to run into burning buildings, do we? We just have to go reach into the financial matrix and pull them out, pull another one out. And we have no idea what we're doing. We have no idea what that effect will have on the next person. And it may not come right around to us directly, again, at least here. But in heaven it might. We're storing up our treasures in heaven. If you don't know anything about that, come Sunday. I want you to come Sunday, tomorrow, hear that. The best part of the whole weekend, I promise you. There are so many things that have happened since Orrin and I, someone had the courage to come into our home and share this with us. when we were fighting before they got there, when they got there, while they were there, after they left. But they had the courage to share this with us. You know, we wouldn't be married. We wouldn't have 2 of our children. Like I said, none of this would be here. And you think about all the different effects the different leaders have, that Bill and Keisha have had on people, that George and Jill have had on people, that Rob and Kenyon, that Dan and Lisa. We have no idea. We have no idea, you guys. So don't take this lightly. It's some business. No, this is a life changer. I can't even imagine. It scares me to think, what if they wouldn't have come over? What if we wouldn't have said yes? I don't want you to walk away and say, man, what if I would have built that business? What if I would have had the courage to just share? What life might have changed? How might my life have been changed? Have the courage. We have no idea the ripple effect. We don't know what we are saving them. We do know what we are saving them from, but we have no idea what we're saving them for. My stepdad had a stroke, and he's diagnosed with Parkinson's, and so we brought him down to stay with us this winter. It's good for him to keep walking, and we have 9 beautiful acres, and it's pretty good. It's safe because, they tend to fall down, they lose their balance, and he doesn't have a computer, never had a cell phone. When my mom passed away, we tried to give him, her phone. It's a smartphone, so heaven forbid that was not going to work. So we ended up getting one of those crickets, the cricket phones. Anybody know what those are? Yeah, so, but he can't really use that very well. He's not techie. I'm following in those footsteps. But anyway, and when he first came down, that was the very first thing that we did. We got him that cricket, and I said, Dave, you have to have this in case you're walking around the property and you fall. Then you can call me. Otherwise, there's gators out here, there's bufo frogs, there's snakes. I don't know. I don't want you to get bit by anything. So just call me. And so sure enough, day 1, my phone rings. It's him. I'm like, have you fallen and can't get up? Sorry. That is a joke in our family. So anyway, I could not understand what he was saying, but that's basically what he said. He had fallen, and he couldn't get up. So I go running down the stairs, and I open up the front door, and there he is, right on the porch. I'm like, he didn't even get out the front door. What have we done to this poor guy? So anyway, I help him up, and it's fine. And now he's used to everything, and he walks around. He's only fallen one other time, but it was fine. It was on the grass, and I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's terrible. Except he laughs too. But how many laugh when people fall down? Why do we do that? It's mean. But it's so funny. Okay, but anyway, okay. So anyway, he has this phone, and so I told him, I said, Dave, I'm going to call you every night to make sure you're okay and that whatever. So sure enough, night 1, Thursday night, I call him. Ring, 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 no answer. Okay. I wait a few minutes because, it's hard for him to get it out of his pocket. So I call him back, no answer. Call him back, no answer. Call the house phone that the only reason we have a house phone is for our elevator, but I pulled one out and plugged it in for him, and call, no answer. Call Captain Bill. Billy, can you please go make sure my stepdad's not laying on the property somewhere? Again, I'm sorry I'm laughing. It's not funny. He laughs. I promise you he's laughing about this. But anyway, so Billy goes over there. Yeah, he's in there watching TV. Okay. I said, Dave, you have to answer the phone when I call you, because it never rang. I said, oh, you must have turned the ringer down again. It's super easy. You just hit the button and it, turns down. And he goes, oh, how do I turn it up? I'm like, okay, you just click the button on the side and, whatever. He goes, which button? There's 3 of them. I'm like, I don't know which one, but just, hit them until you hear it ring. Just pick buttons. Just hit them until you hear it ringing. So we did. And, all is well. I've gotten a hold of him the last 3 nights. But my point is this. Have you turned your ringer down? Is your ringer down? Because we're calling you. We're calling you to Hawaii. We're calling you to the cruise. We're calling you to life coach. We're calling you to live the life you've always wanted. Pick it up. Hear that ring, pick it up, answer the call, and go live your life you always wanted. Love you guys.
All right. Great job. Lori's talking about Hawaii. I'm so excited. We were talking about the why earlier. Do you realize that anybody in this room that were to go out of here and say, all right, I know what I want. I know what I want. And I know that what I'm doing currently is not going to get me that why. Those two thoughts, when you can lock that together, it creates a massive amount of power, a massive amount of energy. When I look at Ken Dunn, I think that's what he did so right. Coming back into our profession, he knew exactly what he wanted, and he knew that doing what he had been doing wasn't going to get that. And so when that switch was made, because everything in him is a person of action, quick, like, all right, I made the decision, now it's time to back that decision with action. Boom! Right into action mode. Now here's the beautiful thing, that anybody in this room can develop those same skills as he was saying. Because when Lori and I came to our first event, it was so life-changing, not because we went out of there and all of a sudden had overnight success. No, we went out of there and 90 days later we were 90-day wonders, wondering what happened with the last 90 days. And then we hit it again for another 90 days, and we're 90-day wonders over and over, and like, what is going on? But over time, we were improving. And so when you throw something out like Hawaii, there's a lot of people in the room say, I don't think I can make it to Hawaii. That's quad 100. Quad 100 at a major function, man, that's going to take, I can't see that. Okay. Here's the beautiful thing about shooting for a goal like that. If you shoot for the moon and miss, you still get stardust. Shoot for the moon. Like, in other words, quad 100, what would it actually take to do that? All right, I still got a job. I'll do my job during the day, and you do it well because if somebody else is paying you, that's a matter of honor and character to do your job. But when you get out of there, you flip that hat around and you become an entrepreneur. You become a bridge builder. Listen, if you got to carry buckets or if you got to do some barge working and load up a whole bunch of cars to barge it, ferry it across to the other side, fantastic. But don't forget that we are in a business as entrepreneurs, we build bridges. That's what we do. And if you're going to build a bridge, when you build bridges, it frees up time. And that's the thing that the financial matrix robs from you. The financial matrix knows through a combination of taxes, through a combination of inflation, through a combination of getting you into debt, that you will serve it the rest of your life. That's its goal. And what you serve, that's what you're a slave to. And so when you start saying, well, I want to get my goals, I want to get my dreams, but how would I get to Hawaii? Because here's what I love about Hawaii. You can be a multimillionaire, but you can't come to Hawaii with this community unless you're a quad 100. You see, this is a very exclusive thing. And in order for any of the top leaders that I see in the front row, here's the cool thing. In order for these leaders to qualify to go to Hawaii, you know what they got to do? They actually have to get up and they're going around and they're looking through their team and say, who wants to go on a free cruise every year for the rest of their life? Understand the thing about what I'm saying. A quad 100 on average is going to have 8 to 10 qualifiers for the cruise. So if you can't see going to Hawaii yet, no problem. Well, why are they running a promotion? I can't even hit that. Because every one of these leaders wants to go find you if you would like to get a free cruise on top of $1,500 to $2,000 a month as a leader. Is there anybody in here that would suffer with $1,500 to $2,000 and a free cruise consolation prize? Because here's the beautiful thing. The next year, we're going to run another promotion. I mean, think about it. We're going to go to Bora Bora one year. We're going to go to China and climb and go to the Great Wall of China. We're going to, I mean, you name an exotic spot that would be cool to go to and you tell us, and I'm putting it on the list. Can you imagine the rest of your life, you're going on a dream, most people once in a lifetime vacation every year on the lifestyle trip. That's what we're doing. And Quad 100 is the first bar, and everybody in here can play a role in that. Because if you're over there on that side of the minefield, here is the key that makes this profession so cool. Has there anybody here that's ever struggled with financial issues? Anybody here just ever struggled with financial issues? Wouldn't it be cool if you could call up Warren Buffett? Hey, Warren, you don't know me, but I got problems, and I know you got answers, so just need an hour of your time for you to come strategize with me so I can fix my financial mess. Is he returning your call? Is he answering your email? Is he, oh, let me get right on that? No access. Do you realize what we've done through creating this crazy community? Is we said, the people who make it through the minefield and have proven to have the results, walk back through the minefield. Lock arms with the hungry student and walk them back through the minefield. That's the most amazing thing in the world, because somehow a couple that had no connections, no money, no good attitudes, I mean, pretty much everything was negative in our life. And we come into a community that said, if you're hungry, we will teach you all the rest. Do you realize how freeing that is? Because maybe you didn't have a last name of aristocracy, or maybe you didn't have connections, and it's like all that. We don't, race, creed, color, we don't look at any of that. Here's all we look at. Are you hungry enough? If we tell you the next step, will you do it? And we've even done it better, because you don't have to sit there and tell everybody. I don't call all of my leaders and tell, all right, let me walk through step number 7. I mean, Chris right now is working on an onboarding process that when you start signing up thousands of people a month, they will be able to go onto the app and it will know exactly when the last training that they've been through and say, oh, you are now at how to contact. And it's going to go through the whole, listen to this. Have you ever heard of read, listen, associate, and apply? Have you ever heard that term? Can you imagine a button underneath contacting and read, and anything that we've ever written that's important about contacting will be there. You can press a button, so if you read it, you can read everything that we know about contacting. But wait, there's more. You hit listen, and we have everything, like Mark and Christine's talk from that's going on, our listen. And so everything that we consider valuable that someone, your new people, should listen to when it comes to contacting will be on there. Read, associate. Hey, we're going to tell them where their open is. It'll be right there. And tell them where their seminar is right there. Press there to buy it. If they haven't already purchased a standing order ticket, we'll help them buy it right there. Apply. Well, here exactly is the contact that we recommend you use. Can you imagine an interactive business builder's textbook? The textbook is now interactive. Listen, why is that so cool? Anytime there's an adjustment made, you don't have to throw out a book. Adjustment made, right in there. And so you're out there, you've got your dream, you're out there building depth, you're throwing thousands of people into this community, and the app is training up to speed. So then that starts popping out. You sit there and like, wow, whoa, John has been in for 10 days, and he's been through all of the training. He is going crazy. You think you might want to reach out to John or Mary And then you say, hey, man, I can tell you are pounding through the material. Let's lock arms, and I'm going to show you how to walk through this minefield. Why? Why? Because this front row is like, I'm going to find somebody that wants 100 people in their group at a major function. That's a pretty big thing. This is the most win-win opportunity. You bring your hunger to the table. You lock arms with proven leaders that have already walked through the minefield, and all of this front row are proven leaders that have already done what you're looking to do. And when you team together, something amazing happens. Team approach. That you get to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. When you understand what you have a hold of, the number one thing you're going to battle against is when you understand the difference between building a bridge when the Mackinaw is stunning to me when I read, like, before they had that bridge, on busy holidays, there would be 20-some miles backed up traffic trying to get their cars across the Mackinaw Straits. And they would build, a ferry would come up, load up 20 cars, and you drive over there and you collect your money. And if you were operating one of those barges, you'd be like, man, I am making money like crazy. It's so awesome. Well, the problem is there's 20 miles of traffic backed up. It's not awesome for them. And they paid more money. It's $4 to go across that bridge today. Crazy. You paid way more than that in a very inefficient system. And yet we're so used to barge working. When you say a bridge, you're like, what? Work for 3 years? Hire 3,000 some employees for a bridge and not have one car? I can easily just do barge working. You see the trick? Short-term thinking. Everything's so short. Oh, I need money now. Why do you need money now? Because the financial matrix has got you. The financial matrix says, guess what? We'll give you a job so that you can exist, and the price is your dream. And everybody's like, oh, it's so cool. I get to be a barge worker. And then I come up here and say, build a bridge. And then it takes a year or 2 years or 3 years, or in my case, 5.5. And then the very person that said, I want to go through the minefield when it got tough, they walk back and they say, that person, he told me I could be a winner and I'm not, liar. I'm like, no, you were a winner. But you succumbed to the 95%ers. Do you think a barge worker is going to tell you, oh, awesome, building a bridge. I never had the courage to do that, but you're going to be awesome. They can't possibly encourage you because they don't even understand you. My dad is one of the most encouraging people I know. But he hurt me, and he hurt me bad. Because I came over so excited to tell him that I was finally not going to be a barge worker, that his son, who had graduated at Honor Society from high school and college, and is an engineer, had 4 pens, won a national benchmark, where my dad was bragging to everybody about what a great engineering son he had. Now he was going to his master's at the #2 school. And then I come back and said, I'm going to build a bridge. He's like, what? That's not cool to tell my 95% friends, because they don't understand that. Have you really thought that through? Orrin, think that through. Don't do it. You're going to what? You're going to quit your master's program? Well, why would I get trained to be a top barge worker? I want to build a bridge. Now, I'm not telling you to quit. I'm just saying that when I was honest with myself and said there's no result doing barge work that will allow me to live the dream I feel God's called me to do. Once that was decided, it didn't matter if I was the worst bridge builder in the world. I'd rather be the worst bridge builder on his way to becoming the best than to be the best barge worker on his way to losing his dream. You've got to answer that for yourself. But once I understood that, my dad said, you're making a big mistake. And for a 6-month period, because I'm an argumentative person, I said, nope, I've learned not to argue. So I didn't really talk to him too much for about 6 months. And what I did is I just started listening to audio after audio after. Here's what I decided to do. I'm no longer going to allow any 95% thinking into this brain. Now you say, that is absolutely fanatical. I shut off my cable. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to anything outside of somebody who had built a successful bridge that if I did the same thing, I would have the results I wanted in life. You call that fanatical, but here's what I would tell you. I had to do that because my negative brain was so poor that when I would hear someone criticize me, they would take me out. And so finally, after listening, I came back and said, Dad, let's call a truce. Let's say that we can agree to disagree on this area, but you've taught me so much about hard work. You taught me to think. Can you please, even if you don't understand, can you please agree that at least I'm thinking and making decisions? Okay, son, that's fair. That's fair. I still don't agree with it, but that's fair. Let's just call it, we'll call a truce. 18 months before he passed away. Brain cancer, lung cancer metastasized to brain cancer. 18 months before he passed away, Lori and I bought our first 8,300 square foot house, first mansion, and my dad came over, and he was walking through. And if I could tell, my dad's, like I said, most encouraging, very encouraging man. So he's walking through, and I could tell he's thinking. And he's walking, so he walks through the whole bottom level, I'm just showing him things. And I said, okay, and here, and then he's walking upstairs. And when he gets upstairs, he just turns and he looks at me and said, son, I'm so happy you didn't listen to me. Now, I don't know. I can't say that's going to happen to you. I can't tell you that every one of your critics is going to come up and admit that they were wrong. In fact, I can tell you that some of them will admit they are right when you quit. You see, here's what happened to me. Once I understood and once I told everybody I was going to build a bridge, I promise you, I was sold out to build a bridge, and here's why. I would rather get 1,000 more no's than one I told you so. When you get a dream, and you're honest with yourself that there's no other way besides building a bridge to get it, then you will sell out to, I've got my dream, and the answer how to build bridges the fastest and the longest and the most secure is through building depth. And then we have an app that all we do is share an app with the world, a free app, and get them to a free meeting so we can determine if we've got somebody that wants to start learning the 3 keys to wealth and walk through the minefield. When we get this down, it's that simple. Don't make it more complicated. It's the dream, it's the team through building depth, and it's a free app and it's a free meeting. Change your payment habits. Oh yeah, but what about this? What about this? I don't know. Is that worth your dream or not? Because that's the real question. If I could go through and tell you all the crazy stuff that Lori and I had to do because we didn't have an app and it wasn't electronic and it was so manually intensive compared to what we do today, it's a joke. And every time we hit that part, we had to ask this: our dream or this inconvenience? One or the other, but we can't have both. And every time we answered properly, the dream. Listen, we are on a mission to set people free from this financial matrix. And how we're going to do it is leading a consumer rebellion. I salute every one of you. I'm so proud of you because you have joined the consumer rebellion. You know what I'm asking now? I'm asking for another level of commitment. I'm asking for you to step up and lead the consumer rebellion. I'm asking you, at a minimum, for you to come on a cruise. Help me, help you. I want to buy you a free cruise next year. Chris wants to buy you a free cruise next year. The life coaches want to help lead you get a free cruise next year. And then we want to invite you on a lifestyle vacation anywhere in the globe that we can say, oh, that's a cool place. Let's go to Tuscany. Let's go to Italy. Let's walk the grape fields together, the vineyards, and let's go do this, and let's go do, and we will plan out amazing vacations. And you know what the best part of that vacation will be? It's not even the location, although that's awesome. It's who we're hanging with. We're hanging with men and women who had character, who said what they wanted, who were honest enough with themselves to clearly articulate the life they've always wanted. And then they found someone living that life, and they locked arms with them, and they played their role, and the leader played their role, and a new leader was born. This is your destiny. If it's your destiny, then will you stand up and will you lead the consumer rebellion? We love you guys.
What an incredible night, right? Right? Okay, yeah. Okay, glad you guys are still with us. But we're gonna take a 10-minute break, and then Orrin is gonna come back up and do the ticket holder talk. And so what that means is you guys have 10 minutes to get back to the tool room, make sure that you have your ticket to join us in either Milwaukee, New York, or Utah, and the tool room will be open until midnight tonight.
And also, you guys, the tool room is going to be open tomorrow from noon until 2 o'clock. So if there's anything you forgot or you're inspired, you can hit the tool room up tomorrow.
One of the most important parts of the weekend, the worship service on Sunday. Tomorrow morning, the doors are going to open at 9:30. The service will start at 10:30 sharp. And then the afternoon general session goes from 12:30 until 2 o'clock.
Awesome, guys. We'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Make sure you have your ticket. Fire it up.
Welcome back to your weekend of entrepreneurs fun biscuit. Please welcome to the stage your host for this evening, from Holland, Michigan, Major Turbo 50, Doug Strode.
I know what you're thinking. How can there be more? Congratulations. You guys are committed to July. Give yourselves a hand. I have the distinct pleasure to bring up this gentleman. You guys just heard him. Talk about a master bridge builder. That's who we get to learn from tonight. He is so fired up, he's bouncing around back there. He can't wait to get back out here. So the accolades are infinite. And hopefully you guys are learning those as you're going through the Prezi. And I'm not going to go through that because I want to get Orrin back out here. But I want to let you know that each and every one of us are talking about, he's talking about Quad 100 to go to Maui. You understand, he has not one, not two, not three. He's triple qualified for Maui. 12 times 100. That is amazing. So let's get the founder, the chairman, Quad 100, leader of this organization back out here on stage. Help me welcome Orrin Woodward.
Thanks, bro. Love you, bud. All right. So these are the crazies, huh? These are our bridge builders. Anybody new? Anybody this your first ticket holder? Go ahead, raise your hand. Look at all that. Look at all these first. Let's give them a hand, guys. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to shotgun you some information. I'm going to fill in a grid for you. I'm going to fill in a grid of your whole business around why, around how, and around what through a thought process that Chris Brady, one of the best teachers, if not the best teacher I know, and he gave a talk once on theory, activity, and results when it come to Power Player, as it pertained to Power Player. There was a theory around Power Player, why we build depth. There were some activities that you needed to do in order to go Power Player. And then there were some results. And if, by the way, how many people here are listening to the classics pack? Right? Man, I hope you start pounding through that, because remember how the simplicity of our why, how, and what. The only thing we're lacking right now, and I don't even know if we're lacking it at this point, because I can feel your belief. I understand that as a speaker, when you speak for 25 years, you come up, you can tell right away, this group believes, this group doesn't believe. You know what, I walked out here, remember, I haven't been here this weekend. I walked out here and I'm like, whoa, I feel belief. And so, and if you listen to those classic packs, what you're going to hear is some kids that were so certain that they were going to build a bridge before they had a bridge. You listen to TOD1, I think my total income was $15,000 a month. I don't even think it was $15,000 a month when I did TOD1, which is edification, duplication, and association. Is that something like that? Whatever that title was. But you listen to that talk and you say, oh, that guy must be a multimillionaire. No, he was on his way to being, but he wasn't at that point. Just as there were some talks given this weekend from some people that are going to be multimillionaires that aren't right now. Because it's not a matter of, well, is it possible? Listen, if you can build one chunk of a bridge, if you can go Power Player, you can go life coach. Because it's just a matter of doing it again and again. And every time you hit a new level or anytime you hit a new challenge, then you apply the process of plan, do, check, and adjust, and make the adjustments. So I want to fill in the grid, theory, activity, results around our why, around our how, and around our what. And then you got to answer this. So then you can say, which one of the 9 things that I'm going to go through are you sub-optimized? Which one of the 9 things do you got to get better? And then just be a leader and get better. Now, it's very important that you tell yourself the truth here, though. Because if you say, oh, I'm great at all 9 things, and you're not growing, then there's a disconnect, right? So I'm not here. This information is designed to set you free. Because once you know an area that you need to get better in, a leader loves that. Because then it's just go to work. Now focus, make the changes. Find somebody in the community that's really good at that area and listen to everything that they've produced, plug into our system, and you'll get the results. Here it is. For the why. What is the theory? Why is why the most important thing? Why are we saying over and over, start with why? Why did we, the learning call, the Turbo 5 call, we talk about Simon Sinek's book and went through it 4 or 5 weeks. Because the why is everything. It's everything. Nobody ever woke up and just said, I want to go build a large community. Nobody's been dreaming at that as they're going to work. You know what they're dreaming of? How come my dreams every year go further away from me? How come every year I'm taking it from well, that's not even a dream anymore. It used to be a dream. That's an next dream, which they call fantasies. What happened? What happened is, when people get in this and when people build this, they don't build it because they have a boss, because nobody in here is anybody's boss. They build it because they're sitting on that side of the minefield and they realize that if I can get over to this spot, I win. If I can get over to this spot, I get my goals and dreams. And so then they said, then the logical person would say, who has walked from that side to this side and is still in one piece? Right? You wouldn't say, oh man, he looks terrible, I'm following him. No, you find somebody that's made it through successful and then figure out their steps and you do the same thing. That's why we have a system. And so the why, I love, Henry Ford said it this way. Those who know how will always work for those who know why. Those who know how will always work for those who know why. Have you ever noticed that when you're showing a plan to the 95%er, they always want to know how and they always want to know what? Rarely. If they start talking about why immediately, they're already a 1%er and they're going to encourage the heck out of you because they understand another dreamer when they meet them. But when you run into 95%ers, the reason why you must listen, read, listen, associate, and apply constantly to the 1%er is the only 95%er thinking I ever got was when I would show the plan. That's the only time I dealt with and here was the cool thing. This was so awesome when I figured this out. 95%ers don't get any better. They're the most predictable people in the world. They have the same answers. They have the same objections. They don't get better. Let me give you an example. When I play Pastor Scott in racquetball, it's the toughest form of competition. You know why? No matter what I do to make adjustments and win, he's going to make further adjustments to stop my adjustments, and that's why it's so competitive, because no matter what I do, he makes an adjustment. The 95%ers don't make that adjustment. They're still giving the same excuses today as they were 20 years ago. That should fire you up, because once you decide to be a 1%er, you can help a whole bunch of 95%ers become 1%ers because you know the predictable response. When you tell them a dream, hey, listen, I'm not here to talk about dreams, I want details. And if you fall for it, then you've just sentenced them to be a 95%er. Worse yet, you've sentenced yourself to be one too. You see, those who know why are the leaders. The number one builder in this entire profession, who had 1 million people showing up to events, that I listened to every one of his audios a minimum of 25 times. I listened to him so much I could talk just like him. I could fool his personal mentors. I could call him up and act like this guy, and they thought it was him. And I am not the guy who can simulate voices like Chris Brady. He can listen to a voice and simulate. I'm like, I don't know how he does that. But you listen to anybody, 25 audios, hundreds of audios. This guy never, ever talk details. He would never, there's one audio one time where he actually slipped into a what, but he corrected himself right away and went back to why. Now, am I telling you that you don't have to learn some of the what? That's not what I'm telling you. I'm just telling you that the only people who stick around long enough to master the what, to master the how, and to master the why are the ones who start with why. Because if you start your group with what, they won't stick around long enough to learn what, because they'll take a hit. Since you've owned your own business, have you taken a shot yet? And if you take a shot and you don't know your why, most of you are gone. Now, listen, if you want to be gone, I'm not your boss. I have no say in the matter. But if you want to build a team that's strong, that can take a shot or two and pivot, as Ken was saying, build the dream. I studied the biggest guy in the business, and it was all about the why. I studied the second biggest guy in the business. It was all about the why. I studied the third biggest guy. It was all about the why. I studied the top, and every single, they all are the ones who are casting the vision. They're all the ones that are talking. And then you say, get a big dream, build some depth, details to follow. You see, he knew. He said, yeah, we've got an audio that'll teach this what. We got an audio that'll teach the contact, and we got this. And this weekend, as we go through, you're going to see some of the how-to, and you're going to see the what. They're all important, but they're not the most important. The most important, if you're going to master one quality, master the dream. The master dream builders always have the biggest organizations because they have the most people digging into the how and the what because they have locked into their why because they're following the master dream builder. So let me ask you, how many people here would like to have a big business? Master the dream, starting with your own. You be so clear on what you want, why you want it. Let me walk through. So that's the theory. The dream is everything. Carl Sandburg said, nothing happens but first the dream. What about the activity of that? The activity is spend time envisioning. We were flying over on a private jet, and Wayne and Raylene McNamara, who crushed it. They gave 2 amazing talks. Absolutely crushed it. We were flying over, and he was sitting there like, Orrin, I'm going life coach. I'm going to Hawaii. And he was sitting there, and when we go life coach, and when we go PC again, 4 legs at 100, 2 legs at 50 at a major function, when we do that, oh, I can see the dress Marley's going to be wearing. Oh, and can you imagine what Bo, when he comes up and sees the community going crazy? He was there. If you want to win in your business, you've got to make the dream so real you can practically reach out and touch it. Napoleon Hill said it this way. He said, thoughts are things. We spend all our day thinking about how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do this? Oh, I got to get to work. Oh, I got to work late. Oh, and all of our thoughts are on small things. But the master dream builder, they think about big things. They think about things that stir men and women's soul because it stirred their soul first. Who wants to really escape the financial matrix? Then you must stir your soul. I can remember coming to an event and I said, that's it! Orrin Woodward, the guy who got zeros in public speaking twice. The guy who argues with everybody. The guy who had no peer pressure when he got started because he had no friends. He's going life coach. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to overcome a lifetime of defeats by having this victory. And I was sold out to it. And so I started envisioning it. The second thing, you got to start talking to yourself positively. If you could give me a recorder of your last 24 hours of self-talk, and I could download it from your brain and come up here, how many of you would not want me to play it in front of this whole group? Because there's so many of you, just as me. I can remember saying, well, I would never be able to do it. Well, yeah, they could do it because of this. And, I'm just shy, and I don't like rejection, and this, and all this negativity. I didn't need, you will never have an external critic when you have a really good internal critic. Your internal critic is plenty good enough. Nobody externally needs to criticize you because you've done a good enough job on your own. Why do we tell you to read, listen, associate? It's so that you can start to heal yourself. You've got to get to the point. I can remember I'd start hearing negative, and I would shut myself up by playing another audio. And you know what I just found? Is I've been going through and just asking people and saying, I want you to be totally honest with me. When you're in the car, how many audios are you listening to? And I can't tell you how many of my leaders started hanging their head. Well, I'm on the phone a lot. And what are you doing on the phone? I'm trying to pump up my group. Do you realize how self-defeating that is? You are trying to pump up your group so you're not being fed the 1% thinking. And then they're not being fed the 1% thinking because they're talking to you who's not plugged in. And so you're doing a double defeat of your group. And then, of course, you're teaching them to do the same thing. So when does anybody actually get to listen to a young Chris Brady who's on his way to becoming a multimillionaire and sharing every single thing that he did to walk through the minefield? And he actually did it, and you know he did it because he's over on the other side, a multimillionaire, totally financially independent, no debt, several houses. Any one of them's a dream house for most people. And that audio is sitting in your app, not being listened to because you're firing them up. Think about it. Your time in the car is your time. School is in session. Oh, okay, if you've lost your way and you got to make a phone call to get to a house, fantastic. But I cannot believe the hours that people are on the phone doing things that's not 1% activity. Remember, this is the only one you're ever going to be issued. From here down, we're all worth minimum wage. You have got to change your self-talk. I can remember the first time when I said, Orrin, you're a winner. And I heard back, yes, you are. That was 5 years in this business before I heard that. 5 years of 4 to 5 audios every single day. 5 years of 4 to 5 books a month. And it took me 5 years to clean out 95% programming to where I could look in the mirror and say, that's a winner. You know why? Because he's doing everything it takes. Yep, I don't have the big results yet, but that's not what a winner is. A winner is not someone that necessarily has the big results yet. A winner is somebody who's doing everything it takes to get those results. Can you look in the mirror and say, I'm a winner because I'm doing everything it takes? Listen, it's okay if you can't yet, but that's your objective. You are reprogramming your mind so that you can be. The Bible says that the human being is fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully and wonderfully made. How few people are living up to what the Bible tells you you are. Be fearful and wonderfully made and fulfill the destiny you were created for. Don't fulfill the financial matrix destiny. I know what the destiny is. Here's what they want you to do. Work your whole life, pay your taxes, pay your debt, and tolerate the inflation, and enjoy your slavery with the trinkets that they will give you. And then I come up here and say, you can have that if you want, and I'm not here to judge what you do with your life. I'm here to tell you that you could do more. And I'll even show you the path. And I'll point to the different leaders that are doing that, and I'll point and say that they are rewarded for helping you. You bring your hunger to the table, and you team up with the 1%ers that are speaking right, that are leading right, that are envisioning right, that are starting with why, and you reprogram so you've got, you know the theory of why the why is right. You're doing the activity. Let me ask you this. If your dream is something physical, whether it's a car, I can remember driving to the lot and sitting in Cadillacs so often, everybody, all of the security at this place knew me on a first name basis. Hey, Orrin, back again? Yep. Have you ever brought a jar and sat in a new cave? You know that smell of the new Cadillac? I used to sit in there and like, oh, that smell is going to be mine. But how can I box it up right now and bring it home with me? So I brought a jar, put it on there, wrote on there, Cadillac smell. Put it on my desk. I'm looking at Cadillac smell. If I was ever really down, oh yeah! When's the last time you touched your dream? You go ask Lori. How many times, Lori and I, now that might be a little different with the security systems they have on the houses, but back in the old days as they were building them, you could walk through them. And we actually were in this house, and for the first time I saw a house that had a bridge. A bridge in the house. I grew up in a house that was built in 1861. They didn't build bridges in houses in 1861. But I can remember sitting, I think it was like a 5,000 square foot house, and it was fascinating. I couldn't believe that there was a bridge from one side of the house to the other at the second level. And I said, someday I want a house with a bridge. And if you come down to Florida and walk through our house, you're going to see a house with a bridge. If you come to our house in Michigan, you're going to see a house. It's just crazy. And it's like, and I remember the first time I actually bought a Cadillac, paid cash for it, and I was so afraid. I was so still low self-esteem thinking. This was 4 years into the business. I was still so low self-esteem thinking, I'm thinking, I'll just park it in the car and never drive it because it's too good. I was thinking my car was better than the person who did the work to get the car. Messed up. I mean, it's just a material thing. It didn't say Cadillacs are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. So what's the results? What's the results of the why? You know you have successfully achieved the why in your life when you can't stand the thought of going even a month without a goal. Because a goal is just a dream with a deadline. If you can go a 30-day period and you don't have a goal and it doesn't bother the heck out of you, you haven't locked into your why yet. The goal has to be set. I'm going to build this much depth. I'm going to break a new team 10 here. All those details have got to be set. And when I hit this, and I do this consistently, and when I hit this, so for example, the Hawaii trip is a dream, and then you have to choose to make it a goal. Because you're not going to go quad 100 probably next month. But you set a goal and like, okay, I've got 12 months to do this. What should I do this month? And then you start setting goals, which leads me right into the next part. So the why, you've got the theory, activity, and results. And the results is you're constantly setting goals. Here's another result. Here's how I can tell. The two ways I can detect a person that's figured out their why. Every time I talk to them, they tell me what their goal is. And they tell me their plan to get, they're constantly, they say, man, I'm going to hit this. And here's why, because I want to hit this. I'm going to be in Hawaii with you and I want to hit this. And then every time they're speaking to their group, they never go more than 2 to 3 sentences away from the why. If you get bogged down into one, let me tell you this, and let me tell you that, and you get this, and you know what the group does? You put everybody to sleep. We're not looking for a cure for insomnia. We're looking for dreamers. We're looking for inspiration. Because that's what we do, is we are a group that inspires people and inspires them. The inspiration leads them to dive into the information. So let's go through the theory on the how. It's so simple. There's only one theory. Depth is the only way to build a large community. And the size of your bridge is the size of your loyal following. Period. Stop. So if the size of your loyal following is the size of your bridge, there's only one way to build bridges with the cement and the glue. And that's through building a depth. Yeah, but couldn't you technically build depth and have a personality of a rock and just blow everybody out? Yep, you could. But I'll tell you this. You could be the most amazing character-centered leader in the world. You could have the most amazing relationships. You uplift everybody all the time. And if you don't master depth, you are going to be about the leader, at most coordinator level in our business. Somewhere around turbo 100 or lower in our business. The only way you start getting 5 legs, 6 legs, 10 legs at 100 or more is you learn to build depth. Depth does 2 things. Depth does 2 things that are absolutely essential. It builds progress, which leads to belief. Have you ever played a game where you realized you had no chance of winning? I mean, if you were playing a basketball game and you realize you're playing against Michael Jordan and he's up 21-0 and the game ends at 30, and he's swishing shots and slam dunking on you, at some point, even though you want to win, there's no way I'm going to win here. This guy is head and shoulders above me. And so you don't sell out because you don't believe. Have you ever had, how come this person doesn't go do what it takes to win? How come they don't go do what it's going to take to get their dream? Because they don't believe that doing this will get them their dream yet. In other words, they have a why problem. And so then, you know what most of the leaders do? I'll tell them how to do it again. It's not the how that's killing them. They have a why problem, and you're trying to solve it by telling them how to do it again. That's not the problem. It never is the problem. A how problem is super easy to fix. Time and effort fixes any how problem. A why problem takes a leader. And so many of our leaders try to fix their group by telling them how, or let me tell you about the app one more time. It's not an app problem. It's a why problem. And so when you can go back to the why and start attaching into the why, you've got a chance to get them diving into the how. Because the how is we build depth to build large communities, compensated communities. The activity of that. Here's how you know somebody has a dream. They bought into the why the how I'm going to build depth, because they start rotating the 5-step pattern. If you weren't a go-getter last month, chances are you have a why problem. Because in 30 days of attending open meetings, you can see the president enough, you're like, oh, I get it. We talk about the problem. The financial matrix is robbing people of their dreams. We talk about the solution. By utilizing the app, you can cut the inflation pipeline. By plugging into our financial literacy, you can plug the debt pipeline, a drain pipe against you. And then by becoming an entrepreneur, you can build a pipeline of income coming in and plug as much as you can of that tax pipeline. And then here's how by tying it into their why, the whole thing is the financial matrix is killing your why. What is your why? And let me tell you how you can get that why. That's the whole plan. And so you'll find that the people the activity of the why is rotate the 5-step pattern. Make a list, contact, show the plan, follow through, get started. Again, the onboarding process will have all that in an interactive form. There won't be a lack of information. The information's going to be there. That's the easy part. What's the hard part? The inspiration. I mean, so here's why we did this weekend. We're doing this weekend for the association. The association, is there anybody here that's more inspired now than they were when this weekend started? Okay? Okay, great, because that's exactly the design. So the association then leads to inspiration. The inspiration, the goal of the inspiration is to get you diving into the proper information so that you can go into, leaving here, perspiration. What's that? That's 15 plans a month. No, but Orrin, I'm not actually going to show the plan. I'm just going to route people to an opportunity meeting, or I'm going to route people to an open. That's really cute for the first 30 days. That's a cute new person move. Great. Absolutely. Leverage your upline. But the whole point is you got to learn to defend your plan. Well, what do you mean defend it? I thought you said you didn't want to argue. No. Hear the term properly. You defend freedom by living in freedom. You defend your honor by living honorably. You defend entrepreneurship by being an entrepreneur and sharing it. We're one generation away from losing it. You think freedom is free? Thomas Jefferson said freedom isn't free. What did he mean? You got to pay for it. And you pay for it by your effort. You pay for it by living it. You pay for it by sharing it. Listen, if the water is poisoned, all the fish die. You can track back and you say there's somewhere, somebody in your ancestry made it to America. Whether they were dragged here, however they got here. But when they got free, when they were able to breathe that freedom, they went to work and they started dreaming. And they realized they weren't relying on other people to give them their dream. They said, just give us a shot. And we got to teach that to the next generation. I was reading an article and they said this is the first generation of Americans that they expect to have a lesser lifestyle than their parents. What's happening? We have a why problem. We have people that aren't hoping anymore. If you don't have hope, we have a whole generation that's grown up without hope. What's happening? The financial matrix is squeezing. 5-step pattern, build depth, edification. We build depth so that we can build numbers so that volume follows. I've never seen a group have 100 people in it that didn't go over the top of the chart. I've never seen a group that had 100 people in it that didn't go over the top of the chart. How many people would like to have a group go over the top of the chart month after month after month after month after month after month? Chris Brady went over the top of the chart in our first community building business in 1996. And he's been over the top of the chart every month since then, that organization. George Gazzardo went over the top of the chart late 1998 and has been over the top of the chart every month since then. Two of our biggest organizations, we've been receiving ongoing residual bridge building passive income for 20 plus years because we built it based around numbers and relationships. And the volume will follow. And the volume followed in different companies. The volume will follow anywhere because all business is relationships. You can make a one-time sale and make money. But if you want a bridge, the bridge is relationship to relationship to relationship through depth. The activity of learning the 5-step pattern so that you can show plans, so that you can build depth, so that you can promote people into our meetings. That's why I like free app and a free meeting. Because it reminds you that the app by itself, there's millions of apps out there. What's another app? It's just another what? Who cares? But tied to a community, oh, that's something. A free app and a free meeting. So you're rotating the pattern in depth. Now let's see the results. Here's the results. Here's how you know that, man, you have nailed the how. Are you ready? 10 circles. Whatever group you say, this is the group I'm working in. Great. Did it go 10 circles in depth? 10 new circles in depth that month. If it didn't, you're still mastering the craft of rotating the pattern. No problem. It's not the end of the world if you didn't. But you have to set the goal. Here, let me ask this way. I'm not going to ask it that way. Let me ask it this way. Who did set a goal to go 10? I was going to ask who didn't, but then I said, no, that'd be too many hands. It'd depress me. Who set a goal to go 10 levels in depth this month? Oh, look at Ken raise his hand right away. Look at, okay, that's absolutely essential. Because if you don't have the goal, you don't even know if you failed. Like, in other words, I'd rather have you set a goal to go 10, you went 2. Fantastic. What are you going to do different next month? Because we've got to get 10 circles there. You have no chance of breaking a new Team 10 at the bottom if you don't have new names to promote to. So the 10 circles gives you new names to promote so that you can get a new Team 10 at the seminar, so that when the 10 circles, the volume naturally follows 1,000 points. And even just at the financial fitness, do you realize how crazy it is what we got right now? That you can save enough money through the cash back, through the crypto, and through the coupons, that you can fund your financial fitness services subscription with what you're saving on your shopping. That's crazy. Crazy. You could be an entrepreneur just by plugging in and changing your payment habits. So now let's go to the next one. So we got the activity, we got the results. You're breaking power players, you're breaking turbos, and you started with 10 circles in depth, a new Team 10, and 1,000 points. If you're doing that, you do that for 6 months in any leg, and that leg will have 1, if not 2, grid spots filled in. You can get wealthy in 1 year in this business. Wealthy. Lori and I did this for 5.5 years, pivoting, and we got really good at a lot of what I'm covering, but we still hadn't figured out how to build the depth until we got team approach. And we went from going 2 to 3 levels of depth a month and having no results. We had 1 leg over, to going 10 levels in depth consistently month after month, and we broke 3 new legs over in 60 days. What do you think you could do in 6 months of getting focused on going 10? Now remember, it's not just your 10. It's not like you got to get 10 names off your list every month. It's team approach. And every time you're bringing somebody new, they've got 50 to 100 names that you don't know. But you've got to set the goal. 10 circles in depth, team 10 and 1,000 points. If you just do that, get a big dream, and then the goal so get a big dream, and if you had a big dream, you'll set a goal. Remember, dream is a goal is a dream with a deadline. And then your goal is 10 circles in depth, a new team 10, and 1,000 points. And every time you miss, make an adjustment. In other words, don't go into next month, I'm going to do the same play even though it didn't work. That'd be like me going in and Scott just whooped me 3 games in a row in racquetball. What are you doing differently? Nothing? I like a good whooping. I mean, can you imagine? Like, remember what I told you. What is a winner? A winner is someone that hates losing so bad they'd rather change. What's a loser? A loser is someone that hates changing so bad they'd rather lose. It is not an issue if you've been losing. It's an issue if you're tolerating losing. You must pivot. You must make an adjustment. Because it's your dream at stake. This is the most important part. We are so used to a job that if we don't do it, well, the boss won't hit his deadline, the boss won't hit his target, or our company isn't going to. No. That's not what is at stake when you don't make your adjustment. What's at stake is your bridge. It's your business. Do you think it's easier for a multimillionaire to find another hungry student? Or do you think it's easier for another hungry student to find a multimillionaire willing to personally coach him? I said it earlier, none of us are going to be coached by Warren Buffett. It's very difficult to tap in. That's why the elites are the elites, because they never come down and help the masses. Why I love this organization is if anybody breaks through, they know where they started. And if they were over here struggling, you think Lori and I, we understand. It's like, man, we were so close. Lori packed up her stuff and moved in with her mom. We were done. But she'd heard enough audios and she'd heard enough information to say, well, I'm not supposed to quit. I'm supposed to change. Maybe we'll try, or maybe we ought to go talk to this pastor and see if we can start working. And it started a process. And God blessed it. And I know there's people over here. I remember sitting in a church one time and the pastor said, in every pew there's a broken heart. You think I'm naive enough to be up here on this stage and looking out at these people and know that there's some of you that aren't breaking? And how can I come through and be that person over there and come over here and not have enough empathy, not sympathy, empathy. That means caring enough to come over here and say, listen, I know where you're at. I know it's hurting, but there's a winner inside of you. And you're going to have to get off the ground because you can't win laying down. You're going to have to get back up, and you're going to have to follow these steps, but you're going to win, and you're going to win right here. That's what you do. That's what you do. So you break power players, a ton of them. You're going to see so many stinking power players. You know why? Because people want to go to Hawaii, and they know the only way I'm going to Hawaii is if I break power players. And they're going to break turbos. You're going to see so many Team 10s and Turbo 10s and Turbo 25s and Turbo 50s breaking because it's all about numbers. We know that's how we build our bridges. Because we're going to lead. We're building a huge compensated community and leading the consumer rebellion so that you can live the life you've always wanted. I just love this. I can't believe we get to do this. I can't believe we actually get paid to serve people. Do you know that when you build depth, you get to serve a lot more people? Because in the process of building depth, you create belief that people who didn't think they were laying down because they just didn't believe it was worth getting up again. And because you built enough depth, they said, maybe I can win here. And they get up. And they get up and they go show a plan. They lead to somebody else. that was just looking for their opportunity, and all of a sudden you start exploding. Numbers start exploding because you helped belief and progress. You got progress so that you could get belief. Let's talk about the what real quick. Here is the theory of our what. A home-based matchmaker business is the most profitable and sustainable business model with the least overhead cost. It's a home-based business. How can you get a business with less overhead costs? You already have your house, or you have your apartment, or wherever you're staying. A matchmaker business, you can read Uber is on its way to $1 billion company. There's a few owners that are going to get really wealthy in Uber, and all they did is created an app to matchmake people that had extra car space, an extra seat, with people that were looking. Airbnb, extra room with people that were looking for a room. They can create billion-dollar professions, billion-dollar industries with an app. What do you think we can do with retail and crypto? When you take matchmake, we are the matchmakers. As we started looking like, you know what? The crypto space has some pretty smart people doing some pretty smart work. But you know what they lack? They don't have a matchmaker. They don't have a community that's actually rewarded for connecting. The masses who need this badly, that are getting robbed by the financial matrix. To the crypto, that's a portion of setting them free. This thing, we are building a home-based matchmaker business that we already know it creates. But here's the difference between Uber, Airbnb, and life. We don't want to be billionaires. We want to have thousands and tens of thousands of millionaires. Because we know every single person that goes and creates that type of wealth did so by giving other people the opportunity to climb, to go, get off their, quit laying down, get up, and run through that minefield. That's our theory. If we're going to do a business, let's do the most profitable business with the least amount of cost that builds a bridge so that it's a sustainable business model. Here's the activity. What do? We matchmake retail stores and cryptocurrency by changing your payment habits and teaching others to do so. Oh, but Orrin, it's not convenient to change my payment habits because I've always done it this way. And what result is that producing? And if it's not producing the result you want, and if this here says, if this is the dream that you have, and what you're doing right now won't produce it, and changing your payment habits is part of creating the result that you want, the dream that you want, wouldn't you change it? Like, to me, the beautiful thing about this, if they won't change it, then they've told me they really don't have a dream. And then no treasure there, as Chris would say. You see, all we do is we invite people to dream again. We help them identify their dream. We tell them how to do that. We're going to build depth as a team approach. And then what your role is to start is change your payment habits. Welcome to the team. And then you get to work. And the last part, here's the result. This is number 9. And by the way, every single talk you heard this weekend fits somewhere into this. Every single talk you heard this weekend. When you heard Bill up here talking about depth, you're like, oh, he was talking about the actual activity and results of the how. When you heard somebody else talking about the dream and this, oh, they're talking about the theory behind the dream. When you heard Laurie up here, every talk. Here is the results of the what. We lead a consumer rebellion that breaks the financial matrix and sets people free. There are, I believe, millions of people out there that know something's wrong, and they don't know what it is. but they want to make some changes, but they don't even know where to start. That's how debilitating the financial matrix is. Because it cuts you off at your knees and leaves you wondering, how do I even get back up again? And then you're coming into their life. You're coming in to show the plan. You're coming in and saying, I know how you're feeling. I felt the same way. And here's what I found. A free app and a free meeting. And we'll figure out what part you want to play in leading the consumer rebellion. We love you guys.